How do those approval rules now get defined? Let's have a look. So it's quite general what you can do. At the moment, we had an approval rule called approval rule above 1,000 Canadian dollars. And for such an approval rule, you can define how long will it be valid. This rule is valid until the end of the decade. And you could obviously put also longer. And what needs to be known is that like this, for instance, on the 1st January 2030, this rule would no longer apply. You can make this approval rule trigger if, in this case, the total order price is above 1,000 Canadian dollars. But you could also define a trigger like there's one item worth more than $5,000. Then you would enter here the corresponding values. You can link such an approval rule to specific projects or cost centers. In the present case, I basically linked it to all the registered projects at the moment. And you can then define who's approving in a first step and who's approving in a second step. An alternative is actually to approve by role. So you do not have to specifically say it's approver 1. Rather, you could say anybody who's having the role commodity manager could be actually doing this approval. So let's save this rule and see what else is behind. Each of those rules can be linked to specific teams. So in this case, I just have a very small team. It's just myself. But you could define different teams by project, by function, what is needed so that you can exactly model the approval workflows that they are fitting to the specific project constellation. Additionally, you can link it to some buying organizations. Maybe just the office in Texas would have a specific rule, and to specific items. In this case, for all those suppliers, this rule would apply. If I would deactivate Narada, it would only apply on requisitions from those other catalogs. How can you now build different workflows? We have here a second workflow for approvals between shopping carts 300 and 1,000 Canadian dollars. Again, it's valid until end of the decade. And in this case, there's just one approver having to approve. So you can define like different workflows, for instance, based on value thresholds. In the present case, if you look at the approval rules, we're not having any approval below $300, which is applicable. We could now modify and maybe have a 3-step approval beyond, for instance, $20,000. To do this, we would simply modify the rule and say this rule is from $1,000 to $20,000. I'm putting here the corresponding values. This one stays the same with just 2 approvers. And I'm now saving and add a new rule, which I'm going to call approval above $20,000. For this, I'm putting here 20,000, no maximum value. I make sure that it's actually active by putting again end of the decade as the expiration date of this rule. You can now also select for which cost centers this applies. I'm just ticking select all at the moment. And now I'm putting here some approval steps. Let's say step number 1, it's approval 1. We are doing that again. Step number 2, it is approval 2. And step number 3, let's say it's Michaela. Let me just search her out. And like this, we have a 3-step approval workflow. Let's now also link this to teams and to catalogs. So I'm making this connected to the team in which I'm at the moment. And I'm linking it to all the different catalogs we have at the moment available. Let's try it out if I did everything right. I'm now going back into the end user view and I'm loading myself a shopping cart which is well beyond 20k. I'm going onto the requisition page, look at the article list, and there was some pretty expensive, I guess it was switchgear. So this should do the trick. I'm selecting it, putting it into my shopping cart. I create the requisition. I'm saving here the corresponding values. I choose a budget. Let's put it on project. And you see the moment I save, I connect it to this budget. I'm getting the approval workflow, and indeed there's now 3 approvers that need to actually approve it. And with this approach we can virtually build any kind of approval workflow, at least we hope, and could model exactly how you want to run those checks and balances for the project requisitions.